This example of an ebook was too large to upload to EDU 2.0, so I'm going to use it as an example for you to see some of the key aspects of an ebook that I'd like you to include. This student agreed to let me show you her ebook, and it was done very well. She decided to create a book that was like a historical fiction. So the audience is secondary social studies students, and she examined the Vietnam War, but she decided to create a story about a soldier who would have been living during that time. You may create your ebook in a nonfiction fashion or a fiction fashion. Most people choose nonfiction, but this is an example of a fiction story. So to read the ebooks, you should have them in the presentation mode, so they take up the entire screen of the computer, and then you'll flip through them however the author has instructed you to do it. So for this one, she doesn't really tell us how to do it. I'm just going to use the arrow key to go to the next page. But then I see that there's this page. Probably one thing she should have done was tell the student that they should click on each of these pictures to travel through the book. I know that that's what we're supposed to do, but a student would need to know that. Now, she could say that orally to the students, but it might help to have a page in between the first page and this one with some instructions. But you'll see if I go farther than this, the book is over. So I have to click on one of those pictures to start to read the book. So I'm going to click on the first one. I'm not going to read this to you because it's long, but you'll see if you skim through as I have it on this page that she has taken the time to write a fiction or a historical fiction story about a young man during the Vietnam War. And that was just something she was interested in doing, and she thought it would be a great way to teach her students about this concept. So you'll notice on some of the pages there'll be words that are highlighted and linked, and those are for the students to click on. Often this will be vocabulary support. So if I click on dodged, it tells me a little bit more about what a draft dodger is. So it gives the students additional information, it gives them some background information. It could just be a glossary, vocabulary term. She's gone through and given us a lot of information about what that is. And she's even linked a song that the students can listen to that has to do with that. And you see she's also asked them to write on a sheet of paper about the song and how it relates to the Vietnam War. So if we click on that, you'll see that she has embedded a video into this page, and that's something that I'm going to walk you through doing if you want to do that. And the students can play the video and listen to the song. And then they do the assignment that goes with it. Now this is your hypothetical classroom, so you can choose to have them write on a piece of paper, or they can type on something, however you want them to answer the question. But you should have opportunities throughout your book to check for understanding and to make sure that whatever they're reading, they're then applying. And that's what she's done here. She hasn't really asked them to recall what she's written in the book. Instead, she's asking them to listen to the song and apply it to what they are already learning. Now, one great thing she did over here is she made sure that there was a way for the students to get back to the page that they were reading. That's very important, that you make sure that there's a clear progression through the book so that a student doesn't just click through the pages and then get lost. So it takes me back to where I was reading before I clicked on dodged, and now I see this arrow that will take me to the next page. So that's where that instruction page might have been good at the beginning, just to tell us that anytime you see this red arrow, click it to go to the next page. So I can continue reading. I can click when I get to linked words. She did a great job of providing more information, providing images for the students to help them understand these terms. Then she has this little scroll looking image, and that takes us back to what I like to call an anchor page. So this is one way you could do an ebook, where you could have some kind of page that the students get to travel through as they're reading. I think one of the examples in resources is an Abraham Lincoln ebook, and she created an anchor page where you travel around kind of like a map or a path, and you can read about him as it progresses through the path. Another example, I think, in resources has an anchor page that's a map, and you can click on different parts in the map to travel to different places. You don't have to do it this way, but this might be one way you organize your book depending on your topic. So I'm going to go to the next one. Again, you see she has text, she has things to click on, she has images, she has questions. Notice she has a lot of text, and we have to remember that she wants to be a high school social studies teacher. So her audience is high school, and she'd be thinking about learners who would be in probably an American history class. So you have to consider your audience when you're writing your book and determining how much text you're going to put per page. So if I were writing my book to a kindergarten class, I would absolutely not have this much text per page. And I would also consider having audio. Some of the examples you might have found have audio so that you can click and the student can listen to you reading the book to them. That's a great support for a learner. She didn't have that, but I don't really think she necessarily needed it. She could always add it if she has a student who she thinks would benefit from hearing the story as the student reads it. So clicking through again, images, things to click on that help describe better, and they don't really show up very well on my computer. It might have been because I've already clicked on them, but that's something to think about, is this coloring, and we can talk about how to change the colors of links so that it's pleasing to a student's eye. You would never want the ebook to be distracting to the student. We want it to be something that's going to enhance their ability to interact with the content, maybe more so than a print book. So we want to make sure that we choose colors that are aesthetically pleasing. So continuing to click through, then we get to the end and she has some more things for them to look at. She asked them to, again, apply some of their knowledge by analyzing the cartoons based on what they have already read, and then listening to another song that she has back here. So again, she embedded another video that has the song, and they can listen to it and answer the questions. And then she's done. You'll notice if you look down the side here, these pages all have this image, which indicates that they've been hidden. And that's something that I will show you in my how-to video. That might be something you might want to do. So if we're in presentation view, if I click through, those are the only two pages I see. And the only way I can get to the other pages is by clicking one of these. So that's because she's hidden all of these pages. So pages that you don't want the students to get to until they click through other, like a path, you can hide. Now, of course, they can see them in this view. You know, there's no perfect way to hide them. But if you ask them to move to presentation view, then, you know, it makes it so that they'll follow the path you want them to follow. So this is one example. A secondary example of an ebook. Again, it's a fiction example. You can choose fiction or nonfiction. But I thought it was a very nice example of embedding several supports. She had images or visuals, which is great for struggling readers, for English language learners, even for unmotivated learners. It's nice to sometimes see pictures. She has the videos embedded, which are really the songs, which is great for learners, who connect with music. She has lots of vocabulary support. The students can click on the different links to learn about the terms more so than just, reading them within the story. I think the historical fiction is a great support too. That might be interesting to a learner instead of just reading it kind of like a textbook. She gives them questions that are challenging, but also are linked to images in the text, which is also great support. So this is a good example of what you can do with an ebook for a secondary learner.